Gravity Falls, a show of humor, mystery, and casual viewing. Unless you're me. My name is Christian. You're probably wondering why I'm dressed as Zipper Pines and about to rewatch the entire series. Rest assured, there's a perfectly logical explanation.
Right now, move on to Bottomless Pit. Yeah, this is definitely another kind of one and done episode. The reason why the creators made this episode is because they're trying to save on money, so they wanted to have an episode where there wasn't any backgrounds that they had to worry about and just had to worry about the characters. So then Alex Hirsch kind of had the idea of like, okay, what if the characters kind of like fall into this bottomless pit and it's like a black background and then they tell stories to each other, but they couldn't really make that work for 21 minutes. So they decided to have like different mini stories. So we're like, okay, if we have like different small stories in there, like we don't really have to worry about production costs and everything, but that actually kind of made production even harder because now they have like more backgrounds and more characters that they have to do, even though it's not like for a full episode, it's for like little segments. It just made it harder. So I guess it didn't really work out the way they wanted to originally, but yeah, it's just like a fun episode. We get a couple of Easter eggs here and there. You know, the characters Dipper, Mabel, Stan, and Suze kind of fall into a bottomless pit and tell each other stories. Won't really go into every single individual story, but one of the stories is Grunkle Stan winning the football bowl, and we get a character named Footbot who's kind of like a robot with a pair of legs, and he wins the football bowl because you can't say Super Bowl because, you know, copyright and everything like that, according to Disney. So it's kind of like a Rudy-esque kind of story. And, you know, Footbot becomes kind of like an Easter egg later in the series, you know, kind of like a callback to that character. So I thought that was fun. Also, we get an appearance of a character called Mr. Poolcheck, and he's kind of like this crazy lifeguard character who get introduced in a future episode called The Deep End. And he appears in the bar called Skull Fracture, which gets introduced in Headhunters. And in that story, Dipper wants to change his voice because he hates his voice. So he takes like a potion to make it like all deeper and everything like that, and kind of goes around the town, and Tats recognizes the voice and, you know, it's like, hey, you're the guy who prank called me that one time. And then Dipper's like, no, it wasn't me. So then there's kind of big chase and everything, and one of the people who chases him is Mr. Poolcheck. So I thought that was a fun little Easter egg. Didn't realize until, you know, read about it on the wiki. So yeah, shout out to them. And of course, the location itself, the Bottomless Pit, you know, is definitely a location that kind of reoccurs as the series goes on. Definitely gets brought up later down the line for the season finale. So I'm glad they were able to introduce it here. And then it kind of gets mentioned here and there as the series goes on. And in term number 3, it becomes important as well. And as far as continuity, the symbol on Stan's fez actually changes. The original design was kind of like similar to kind of like Islamic symbol. So Disney figured that they should probably change that so there's no controversy. So they made it look more like a Pac-Man symbol of like, you know, the Pac-Man kind of going for a little dot in the game. So I thought that was a really fun Easter egg. And it's supposed to technically be a reference to like the Society of like the Holy Mackerel, which is like a kind of secret society that Grunkle Stan was a part of that apparently got kicked out of because no one likes or trusts him, which he references in Legend of the Gobblewonker. And then like the whole kind of like retcon they had for that is that, you know, Gompers the goat, who was introduced in Tourist Trap, you know, kind of like ate the old fez, so now he has this new fez, and then that symbol kind of stays throughout the rest of the series. So I think that was like a fun little Easter egg right there. But yeah, overall it's a fun episode, fun stories that they have. Some of the stories aren't canon, but Mabel's story is like somewhat canon, but it doesn't really get brought up again, where she has like this mysterious crate of secrets that she's pushing into the bottomless pit at the beginning of the episode, and then one of her stories ends with her pushing the crate into the bottomless pit. So it's like, okay, I guess that story actually did happen, but the other stories are like non-canon. We also get a cryptogram at the end, which translates to next up, Footbot 2 Grunkle's Revenge, which is a reference to the Footbot segment earlier in the episode. And this is also the first use of the A1Z26 cipher, which uses numbers to replace letters in the message based on their position in the alphabet. And we'll be seeing more of this cipher in future episodes. So yeah, like overall it's like a fun one-done episode. Not really too many big lore tie-ins or big reveals, but yeah, just another good 21 minutes.